In the early 2000s, the NFL was at a crossroads. Legends were rising, dynasties were forming, and history was written the way we all remember it. But what if it hadn't been? What if one small change, one different draft pick, one unexpected win set the league on a completely different path? That's what we're about to find out. This is the NFL that never was, a complete alternate history of the league, told season by season. We start in 2002 season. The rosters are set exactly as they were in that moment in time, but from there, the draft, the wins, the losses, and the legends are rewritten in real time. It's the butterfly effect in shoulder pads. One change rippling forward into an entirely different NFL. Now, Madden might call this the 2025 and the graphics on screen that sometimes I use. That's just how the game engine works. And the opening kickoff, guys, it's here. In the NFL you all remember, it's already gone. At first glance, it looks like the same league. Carr's still trying to stand tall behind a broken Texans line. Julius Peppers is still throwing offensive linemen into next week, and Ed Reed already on his way to becoming a name you fear more than respect. But make no mistake, this league is already off its axis. Behind every roster, every schedule, every Sunday afternoon, the butterfly effect is already turning. From the jump, it's a battle between eras. Brady, Manning, Vic, Favre, and Gannon. Some trying to build something, others trying to hold on. By the time we hit week 8, everything's up for grabs. The Titans are undefeated at 6-0. The Packers, Raiders, Falcons, and Panthers are right behind them at 6-1. And in a league full of wild matchups, it's Brady versus Pennington that steals the spotlight in the AFC East. Tommy Maddox, somehow, he's in the game of the week for Pittsburgh. Whether he earns that spotlight or not, that remains to be seen. And yes, Rich Gannon is still out there, making noise for the Raiders like it's 2002 all over again. At the halfway mark, the MVP race narrows. Brett Favre is on another level. 22 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a near perfect 141.7 passer rating. But Michael Vick is right there with him. 18 touchdowns, no picks also, and 1,812 yards. The league still trying to figure out just how they can stop him. On the ground, Shaun Alexander is damn near untouchable. He's not just leading the league in rushing, he's pulling away from it. And through the air, Donald Driver is dragging secondaries behind him, with 683 yards and 9 touchdowns, and no signs of slowing down. The stars are rising. The standings are tightening, and the second half of the season, it's about to turn brutal. By the time the final whistle blows on week 18, the league has been torn wide open. The NFC belongs to Green Bay. 15 wins, 2 losses. Pure control. The rest of the NFC North, an embarrassment. Every single team in the division crashes to a 4-13 record or worse. It's not a race, it's a massacre. Over in the East, the Eagles punch their ticket at the top, but the Cowboys linger just behind at 9-8, like a shadow in the rear view. The Rams take the West, steady and strong. The Seahawks claw their way into the postseason too, both sitting at 11-6. And down in the South, it's the Falcons with the crown at 13-4, but the Panthers will not be left out. They slide in with 11 wins on their own. Now, this is where I should be showing you guys the full AFC playoff picture, and I would, if I hadn't somehow forgotten to write it down or record it. So yeah, that's on me. Let's just say the Titans are in the AFC's top seed, and from here on out, you'll get both conferences in full. This was on me. So let's move to end of season stats. They look like something out of a fever dream though. Drew Bledsoe, he ends the year with 4,861 yards through the air. Brett Favre, 51 touchdowns. Yeah, that's right guys, 51. Shaun Alexander keeps grinding and stays on top of the rushing game. Donald Driver becomes a weapon of mass destruction in Green Bay. with 24 receiving touchdowns. Michael Strahan lays waste to quarterbacks with 23 sacks. And Zach Thomas somehow pulls in 5 picks from the middle of the field. But there can only be one MVP, and Michael Vick walks away with the crown. A year of highlight runs, laser throws, and untouchable swagger, and yet there's no guarantee that translates in January. The playoffs arrive. The Titans and Packers earn their number 1 seeds, but this isn't a league that cares about seeding. The Colts, sitting quietly as a 5th seed, start knocking over giants. Peyton Manning plays like a man possessed. The Falcons, powered by the MVP, tear through the NFC and flatten the Eagles in the championship game. And just like that, it all leads here. 2 teams, 2 quarterbacks, 2 very different stories. On one side, the Atlanta Falcons, led by the newly crowned MVP Michael Vick. Electrifying, unpredictable, and unstoppable. His offense moves like smoke and fire. He's got Warwick Dunn behind him, shifty and steady, Peerless Price stretching the field, Aggo Crumbler bulldozing linebackers, and on the other side of the ball, Keith Booking, Patrick Kearney, Byron Scott, basically a defense built on speed and controlled violence. But on the other sideline, it's a clinical. It's calculated, and it's cold. The Indianapolis Colts come in like a machine. Peyton Manning at the height of his precision. Edgerrin James, the quiet bruiser, who does the dirty work. Marvin Harrison, a surgeon in cleats. Reggie Wayne, the breakout threat. Dallas Clark, the dependable tight end over the middle. And Dwight Freeney, anchoring a defense that bends but doesn't break. This isn't just a battle between teams, it's a clash of philosophies. Chaos versus control. Flash versus formula. Vic versus Manning. First half of the game, it was pretty tight. Every snap felt like it could tip the balance. Neither team gave an inch. It's the kind of game where you forget to blink. Then, the second half hits, and the Colts hit harder. Peyton Manning starts seeing everything. Audibles, mismatches, delays in the pass rush. The field opens up like a blueprint he's read 100 times. With 3:21 left in the fourth quarter, the scoreboard flashes Colts 37, Falcons 21. Reggie Wayne so far has been unguardable, 183 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Falcons have no answer for him. Vic answers back one more time though. A final touchdown drive cuts it down to 37-27. But Atlanta's out of timeouts and out of answers. Manning takes the final snap, kneels once, then twice. He stays out there, calm, focused, helmet still on, no celebration, just business, letting the final seconds bleed into destiny. Then it happens. The clock hits 0, and in an instant, confetti rains down. Blue and white uniforms storm the field. Peyton finally takes off the helmet. A half smile breaks through as the music swells. Final score, 37-27, Colts win. Peyton Manning is named Super Bowl MVP. Reggie Wayne becomes a household name. And in year 1 of this timeline, the AFC draws first blood. Michael Vick walks away with the MVP trophy, but the one that mattered most slipped right through his fingers. Alright, so the 2002 season is in the books. The playoffs gave us a champion, but the draft, that's where dynasties are born, or broken. And tonight, it's not just teams holding their breath, it's the players too. Hines Ward in Pittsburgh, he doesn't dance around it. Says, I'd really like us to go out and get a quarterback. Delthal O'Neal, now in Washington, is thinking about the other side of the ball. He says, What do I want to see tonight? Upgrade our pass rush. And then there's Joey Harrington, sitting in Detroit, trying to get some help. I'm really hoping we draft a wide receiver tonight. Now hold that thought, because there's a twist. The Lions, they're rumored to be looking past Harrington, towards Carson Palmer. Yeah, the top quarterback in the class. And if they don't take him, he might fall right into the lap of the Minnesota Vikings, a division rival. So whether it's strategy or pure spite, this draft is already personal. Here's what the experts had lined up heading into the night. They think Charles Rogers is going to go to the Lions at number 1, Carson Palmer to the Vikings at number 2, Andre Johnson to the Bears at number 4, Terrence Newman to the Giants at number 6, Charles Tillman to the Jaguars at number 8, Kevin Williams to Washington at number 9, and Terrell Suggs to the Cardinals at number 13. Pretty standard stuff on paper, but everyone knows how quickly the board can go sideways. Meanwhile, Gary Anderson signs with the Falcons. Yeah, that Gary Anderson, the one who missed the kick back in '98. Funny how history circles back when you're not looking. Before we get into the picks, let me just say this, guys. If you saw Carson Palmer's player card and thought, wait a minute, wasn't he white? And then you see him walking on stage fully scanned in as a black man? That is not you, as Madden. Sometimes these face scans come in broken, sometimes the draft class bugs out. If I catch it, I fix it. If you catch it before I do, trust me, it will not stay that way. This timeline is going to be cinematic, it's going to be real, but it's also Madden. So expect a little weird with the greatness. Now as we get into the draft, first overall, the Detroit Lions stick with the obvious, and they take Charles Rogers at wide receiver. And for a moment, Harrington get what he wanted. A big, physical, and fast target. A wide receiver 1. Now, number 2, the Minnesota Vikings do not hesitate. They scoop up Carson Palmer at quarterback. And just like that, the guy that, Detroit just almost took is now right across the NFC North line. This league doesn't wait to turn tension into storylines. At number 3, the Cleveland Browns go defensive line with Jonathan Sullivan, defensive tackle. Not flashy, but they're trying to build a foundation. Number 4 overall, the Chicago Bears grab a future legend, Andre Johnson, wide receiver. Big win for them. They just got their alpha receiver for the next decade. Number 5, the New York Jets go with Calvin Pace, edge rusher. Quiet move, but every defense needs someone who hunts the quarterback. At number 6, the New York Giants go cornerback. They take Terrence Newman. At number 7, the Bengals draft Marcus Trufant, also a corner. At number 8, the Jaguars pick up Charles Tillman, another corner. Physical, and he's an instinctual corner, and he's heading to Jacksonville. At number 9, the Washington Commanders grab Ty Warren, right end. He's a rock up front. Very solid pick for them. At number 10, the Chargers take Dwayne Robinson, defensive tackle. Not flashy pick, but they just got a wall in the middle. And at number 11, the New England Patriots swoop in and ruin some plans, because Arizona was looking really hard at this guy, but Bill Belichick beats them to it. They take Terrell Suggs, left outside linebacker, and just like that, the Patriots steal the edge rusher of the class. 11 picks down, and the board's already flipped upside down in some spots. Some teams played it safe, some took swings, some straight up stole picks from each other. But whether it was Palmer to Minnesota, Suggs to New England, or Joey Harrington getting exactly what he wanted, this draft is already rewriting legacies before a single snap. And now, here's a quick visual recap of round 1, just in case you blinked and missed how wild that actually was. Last season ended in confetti, in the arms of Peyton Manning and a young Colts dynasty, hoisting their first title in this altered NFL timeline. But the NFL doesn't slow down. It reloads, and here in 2003, the league braces itself once again, with a draft that sent Carson Palmer to Minnesota and Charles Rogers to Detroit. There was hope, confusion, and chaos written all over the league's future. But we're not here for the hypotheticals anymore. We're here for impact, for real movement, for second chances, and hard resets. So let's jump right into the madness. Week 8 of the 2003 NFL season. The defending champion Colts, battle-tested and blood-hardened, host the winless Denver Broncos. It's a 24-24 with just over 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Denver, backed up inside their own 5, lines up on a pivotal 3rd and 4. Jake Plummer takes a snap and walks into disaster. The Colts defense collapses the pocket, dragging him down in the end zone. Safety. The crowd erupts, 26-24 Indianapolis. And just as quick, Peyton Manning gets back on the field, and we get a moment to catch our breath. Manning leads the NFL with 2,036 passing yards. Trent Green tails closely behind, and Carson Palmer is hanging at 5 in his rookie season with the Vikings. But Peyton isn't interested in stats today. He's interested in stealing games. He moves like a machine. Surgical throws, crisp routes, and before you know it, it's 2nd and goal. Manning zips a pass into the end zone, touchdown Colts. And then the PAT is good, making it 33-24. The Broncos give one last push, marching all the way down to the Colts' 2-yard line. But on 4th and goal, Plummer's strike to the end zone is broken up. Receiver drilled on contact, and with that, the Colts kneel it out. Indianapolis moves to 5-3, and Denver sinks to 0-8. In Baltimore, it's less of a game and more of an execution. Green Bay walks in and puts up 38 by the early fourth quarter, turning M&T Bank Stadium into Lambeau South. The Ravens try to claw back, but Brett Favre isn't here to show mercy. With 5 minutes and 30 seconds left, he finds Donald Driver from about the 23-yard line, and the connection is perfect. Driver dances past every defender and waltzes into the end zone. Final score of that one, Packers 45, Baltimore Ravens 17. The Packers, they rise to 4-3, and Baltimore falls to 2-6. In the NFC North, a scrappy war unfolds in US Bank Stadium. The Bears, 1-6, are somehow up 10-6 late in the third. But the Vikings, they've got Carson Palmer and Randy Moss. From the 38, Palmer fires a dart. Moss grabs it and glides into the end zone like a ghost. Vikings take the lead, 13-10. Next Bears possession, disaster. A pass intended for Andre Johnson gets jumped by Tyrone Carter. Minnesota capitalizes, another touchdown, 20-10. But Chicago will not roll over. Anthony Thomas punches in a touchdown early in the fourth, making it 20-17. Then, we skip ahead a little bit, and the Vikings, they ice it. The final, 27-17. Minnesota moves to 5-3, and the Bears sink to 1-7. By week 14, the playoff race starts to crystallize, and it's spicy. The AFC leaders are as follows. The Pittsburgh Steelers are coming in at 11-2. The Jaguars, 9-4. The Titans, the Jets, the Colts, and the Chargers, all sitting at 8-5. Then the Bengals, the Patriots, and the Raiders at 7-6 and looming. Then the Bills and Texans, not dead yet, but pretty dead, at 6-7. Then if we go to the NFC, the Rams, 11-2. Giants, 10-3. The Falcons, 9-4. And the Panthers and the Packers, both 8-5. Then the Eagles, Bucks, and Cowboys, 7-6. And then the Vikings at 6-7 and barely hanging on. We jump to week 17. In the AFC, the Steelers finish at 13-3. The Jaguars and Titans both at 11-5. The Colts, Chargers, and Bengals 10-6 and tense. The Raiders, Bills, and Jets all at 9-7, clawing for a wild card. Texans and Patriots 8-8 and praying for a miracle. In the NFC, the Rams dominate at 14-2. The Packers take the North at 11-5. The Vikings behind them at 8-8. The Giants win the East at 11-5, and the Eagles trail at 10-6. The Falcons are 12-4, and the Panthers are 10-6 in the South. As the dust settles, it all comes down to Week 18. And next up, we head to Cincinnati. Jets, Bengals, everything on the line. As the dust settled on the second full year of simulation, it wasn't just stats and standings that told a story. It was survival. In a league that feels more like a maze than a schedule, Week 18 arrived with playoff lives dangling by threads. And in Cincinnati, it was chaos. The Jets and Bengals faced off in a showdown where neither team could afford a mistake. The game? A back-and-forth grind that delivered all the weight of a postseason preview. With just 1:22 left in the fourth quarter, it was deadlocked, 25-25. John Kitna scrambled, buying time but wasting downs. He eked out a gain on first, then found his receiver on second. Then it was third and inches. Corey Dillon took the handoff, converted it, but time was bleeding. Then, disaster nearly struck. A fumble. The Jets called timeout. A booth review silenced the stadium, but the ball stayed with the Bengals. Fourth down. From the 28. Cincinnati lines up, cool under pressure, and boots it through. 28-25. The Jets tried. A few desperate throws, a moment of hope, and then just tackled too soon. Clock gone. Game over. Cincinnati escapes. 10 wins. A wild card earned through the fire. Across the country, the Raiders and Bills were battling for the same shot. 9-7 each. Everything on the line. But it wasn't a shootout. It was a slugfest. A game that felt like time itself was frozen. Just 6 points total through 3 quarters. And in the fourth, it stood 9-3. Raiders holding. Buffalo had one timeout. But when Kevin Falk burst through a hole for the Raiders, he didn't just get the first down. He took their last breath of hope with him. Rich Gannon kneeled out the rest. A 9-3 final. Raiders to 10 wins. But fate, it didn't play in their favor this time. As the clock drained in Los Angeles, and the Raiders sealed a brutal 9-3 defensive slugfest over the Bills, playoff dreams turned into ashes for Buffalo. But across the league, the regular season's final whistle wasn't just a death knell. It was a moment of recognition. Peyton Manning, with the precision of a master surgeon, sliced up defenses all year. He finishes with 4,903 yards and 43 touchdowns and only 11 interceptions, leading the league and silencing every last critic. Not far behind him, though, was Kurt Warner, Steve McNair, Trent Green, Drew Bledsoe, John Kitna, Brett Favre, Donovan McNabb, and Jake Delhomme, all leaving their mark on a year in different ways. On the ground, Seattle's Sean Alexander once again proves he's more than just a system back, putting up 1,298 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns, a reliable force all season long. Behind him, LaDainian Tomlinson, Fred Taylor, Edgerrin James, Tiki Barber, Brian Westbrook, Michael Bennett, and the punishing Priest Holmes. The air game had its own kings. Isaac Bruce, the veteran receiver in LA, turned back the clock with 1,842 yards through the air, a league high in receiving. Behind him, Derek Mason and Marvin Harrison, Rod Stewart and Donald Driver, Tony Gonzalez, Chad Johnson, Terrell Owens, TJ Hushmanzada, and Randy Moss all lit up secondaries week after week. On the defensive front, there were monsters. Simeon Rice, a relentless blur off the edge, ends the year with 25.5 sacks, claiming a stake as the most feared pass rusher in the league. Takeo Spikes wasn't far behind him though, with 20.5. Patrick Kearney, Michael Strahan, Anthony McFarland, and James Harrison 16.5 sacks for Pittsburgh all round out a terrifying top 6. And in coverage, you wouldn't expect it, but James Ferrier, linebacker for the Steelers, leads the league in interceptions. Ty Law and Patrick Surtain both finished with 4, locking down the AFC East in their own way. And now, with the dust settled, and the stat sheet sealed like history etched into stone, the final playoff picture emerges from the chaos. In the AFC, the Pittsburgh Steelers rise above all, swaggering into January as a top seed, and they're battle-tested so far through the year and seem pretty unshakable. Out of the West, the Los Angeles Rams claim the NFC throne, untouched in their dominance, a machine built for the postseason. But it's the wild card race where the real madness unfolded. The Jets, they clawed and scratched their way to a division crown. The Bengals, they beat the Jets in Week 18 and still found themselves dancing into the postseason. The Raiders, so close. One break, one bounce, and they'd be in. Instead, they're watching from the outside. A harsh reminder that nothing is promised. The bracket, though, it is locked in. And the matchups, they're set. The dreams are alive for some of these players. And for the rest, the cold of winter has come early. The skies over Pittsburgh were still, but inside Heinz Field, anything but. This was the AFC Championship, a chance at immortality. The Pittsburgh Steelers, 13-4, and roaring through the season behind Cordell Stewart's legs and a vicious front seven. Opposing them, the Los Angeles Chargers, 11-6, but packing a dangerous punch. A young Drew Brees under center, LaDainian Tomlinson in the backfield, and just maybe destiny in their corner. But if you were expecting fireworks early, you were in for a long wait. The entire first half, a chess match in the mud. Neither team scored. No explosions, no collisions. That is, until the final minute of the second quarter when the Steelers cracked it open. One score, then, after the halftime, another. Suddenly, in the blink of a moment, Pittsburgh held a 14-0 lead. The Chargers, they didn't fold. Brees led a sharp drive before halftime, finishing it with a dart into the end zone. 14-7, game on. But the third quarter belonged to the Steelers again. Cordell Stewart and company marched down the field. First and goal from the 1-yard line, they punched it in, making it 21-7. Then, Drew Brees fought back. Checkdowns to LaDainian Tomlinson, a quick strike over the middle, and when the Steelers' defense broke chain, Brees called his own number. Touchdown. 21-14. And now, pressure on Pittsburgh. But Cordell Stewart doesn't blink. He drained the clock, forced timeouts, and when the drive stalled, the Steelers kicked it through the uprights from long range. 24-14. 2-possession game. That was the dagger. Brees made one final push, converting a 3rd and 1 and then a bullet down the seam with under 40 seconds to go. But they were out of timeouts, out of options, and out of time. 4th and 10, 5 seconds, it's dropped. The Steelers take the field for a final knee. And that is it. Final score, Pittsburgh 24, Los Angeles 14. The Steelers are heading to the Super Bowl. And for Cordell Stewart, a chance to etch his name in the frozen stone of football history. We pick it up with 2:23 left in regulation. The 15-2 Rams cling to a 24-20 lead, but Green Bay trailing, driven, and full of defiance faces a 4th and 5 from the Rams' 15. and Brett Favre does not hesitate. He takes a snap, pocket holding, his eyes scanning over the field, and he fires over the middle, and it's complete. A strike, a dagger, and suddenly the Packers are in the red zone with new life. Then the 2-minute warning happens, and they're out of timeouts, but magic. Favre rolls right, scans left, and finds Terry Glenn in the back of the end zone. Touchdown, Green Bay. 1:56 still on the clock. But the damage is done. After the PAT, it's 27-24. The underdogs have taken the lead. But this game is not over. Not with Kurt Warner on the other sideline. The Rams take the field, needing only a field goal to extend their season, or a touchdown to crush Green Bay's dreams entirely. Warner dumps one to Marshall Faulk for a short gain. The Rams, almost passive, letting precious seconds tick away. Then, a strike to Torrey Holt. Now, urgently awakens. A timeout stops the clock at 1:15 from their own 42. After that, another quick hit, then they're at their own 49. Timeout number 2, 1:08 remaining. One timeout. After that, incomplete. The clock stops. Now, it's 4th and 18 from the Packers 43. This is it. The final play. The whole season on Warner's arm. Snap. Drop back. Launch. And it's intercepted. Mike McKenzie comes down with it. A dagger. A miracle. A moment frozen in time. The Rams fall silent. Their sideline stunned. As Brett Favre jogs back onto the field, all that's left are 3 quiet kneels. The Packers win 27-24. And just like that, we have our Super Bowl. The Green Bay Packers versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. A heavyweight showdown between two of the league's proudest franchises. Only one will leave with the crown though. The stage is set. Fade to black. The air in San Francisco is heavy with legacy. Two titans of tradition, the Green Bay Packers and the Pittsburgh Steelers, collide under the lights in a Super Bowl that feels destined. Not merely scheduled, but one built on snow and steel. The Steelers come in at 13-4, a blue-collar brawler of a team. Cordell Stewart leads them, battle-tested and bold. Across the field stands the 12-5 Packers, led by the gunslinger himself, Brett Favre. This is no farewell tour though. This is a warpath. And from kickoff to curtain, both teams play like they know it. Down 10, Favre stands tall. With 11 minutes and 57 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter, on a 3rd and 12 from their own 18, he engineers the drive of a decade. Every throw is precise, every decision surgical, and just like that, the Packers cover the full field and cap it off with a touchdown to Robert Ferguson. Now, it's 24-21, a 3-point game. The tide is turning. The Steelers, rattled, go 3 and out. A critical punt gives the Packers the ball back at their own 21 with 7 minutes and 27 seconds remaining. And Favre, he's unstoppable with 326 yards and 4 touchdowns already. He drops a beauty to number 86 Moses on the sideline. Green Bay is just having everything work for them right now. But they stall out. A 4th and 4. Do they risk it? No. They play it safe. The field goal unit trots out. From deep, the kick is up and it's good. 31-24 Packers now lead. Pittsburgh has a chance, but they flinch. Cordell Stewart can't find rhythm. Another 3 and out, and the Packers get it back again. Favre commands the moment, But then an interception. Chris Hope comes down with it, giving Pittsburgh life. The Steelers begin to rally. On a desperate 4th and 1, they opt to throw. Disaster. It's intercepted by Mike McKenzie. The same hero from the NFC Championship game strikes again. He nearly takes it back, but is stopped short. And then the dagger. Favre wastes no time. From the Steelers 24, he finds Donald Driver in stride. Touchdown. Green Bay explodes. 38-24. 1 minute and 27 seconds left. Pittsburgh also, though, has no timeouts. The coffin is closed. One final gasp. The Steelers on 4th and 26. Incomplete. Green Bay takes over on the 10. And Favre kneels it out. History. For Brett Favre, it's the crowning jewel. He finishes the Super Bowl with 363 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, and the MVP award. The 2003 NFL season comes to a close with confetti falling over Titans. In a year of legends, the Lombardi goes home to Green Bay. The confetti's barely been swept off the turf in San Francisco. Green Bay are the champions. Brett Favre is a legend, and the 2003 season is officially etched in history. But in the NFL, the future waits for no one. With war rooms reloading and scouts scrambling, attention now turns to the next wave of talent. The stars of tomorrow, draft night, is almost here. Before the chaos begins though, let's take a look at how the board looked going into the draft. First overall, the experts think that quarterback Eli Manning is going to go to the Chicago Bears. At second, free safety Sean Taylor to the Denver Broncos. At number 4, wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald is projected. At number 6, defensive tackle Vince Wilfork. At number 9, cornerback D'Angelo Hall. And, ironically, at number 13th overall, quarterback Ben Roethlisberger is projected to go to the Dallas Cowboys. And that was the forecast. Now, here's what actually happened when the lights came on. First overall, the Chicago Bears go to the quarterback that everyone thought, and they go and get Eli Manning. At number 2, the Denver Broncos go free safety, and they get Sean Taylor. At number 3, the San Francisco 49ers go left tackle and get Robert Gallery. At number 4, the Washington Commanders go wide receiver and get Larry Fitzgerald. At number 5, the Kansas City Chiefs get cornerback Dunta Robinson. At number 6, the Seattle Seahawks get the defensive tackle they wanted and get Vince Wilfork. At number 7, the Arizona Cardinals get wide receiver Roy Williams. At number 8, the Los Angeles Rams get right end Will Smith. At number 9, the New Orleans Saints get cornerback D'Angelo Hall. At number 10, the Detroit Lions get halfback Julius Jones. The Dallas Cowboys take wide receiver Michael Jenkins, and they don't take Roethlisberger. Ironically, at number 12, Tampa Bay Buccaneers take quarterback Ben Roethlisberger. Following Roethlisberger, the rest of the first round shook out with several surprise selections and a few steals slipping into the second round. Our visual breakdown will show the first round, as well as notable early second rounders, giving everybody here a complete snapshot of how the future reshaped itself in one entire night. The road to the 2004 season begins here. The confetti from Green Bay's championship has long been swept away. The trophy is in Titletown, but the league doesn't wait for anyone. Since February, teams have been tearing down, rebuilding, and reloading. The draft has rewritten rosters. Eli Manning now wears navy and orange in Chicago. Sean Taylor roams the Denver secondary. Larry Fitzgerald's hands are already making headlines. Vince Wilfork is bulldozing trenches. D'Angelo Hall is locking down sidelines, and all of them are reshaping the map. A new season means new kings to crown. As we hit week 7, the league's heavy hitters are already separating from the pack. The Philadelphia Eagles lead the charge at 6-1, flying high and looking every bit like a contender. Right behind them, the Cleveland Browns stand at 5-1 with a tight cluster of 5-2 teams in the mix. The Chargers, Dolphins, Colts, Titans, and Jets all competing for position. Detroit's Lions are holding strong at 4-2, joined by the Buffalo Bills and Dallas Cowboys at the same mark. The Raiders sit just a hair back at 4-3, and the Bills, also 4-2, keep themselves firmly in the conversation. The stage is set though, and week 8 is here, and every win now feels just a little bit bigger. Over Seattle, gray skies. Inside the stadium, loud crowd. The kind of place where quarterbacks have to scream just to be heard. The Eagles arrive at 6-1, with Donovan McNabb under center and a defense built to suffocate. The Seahawks, just 2-4, desperate to turn the season around. Matt Hasselbeck trying to keep their hopes alive. By the late in the third, it's been a grinder. Philadelphia leads 10-3. Then, after nearly 5 minutes of pushing, pulling, and clawing down the field, Brian Westbrook finally cracks the goal line. 17-3. Eagles heading into the fourth. Seattle answers with a 30-yard field goal. Philly counters with one from 17 out, 20-6. The Seahawks muster one last push. Hasselbeck threading throws, moving the chains, and finding the end zone with just over a minute left. But the clock, it's the one opponent they cannot beat. And the final score, Eagles 20, Seahawks 14. Philly climbs to 7-1. In Seattle sinks to 2-5. For game 2 of the week, we head to Buffalo. It's very cold air, also a loud crowd, and a story under center. Drew Bledsoe, once the face of the Patriots, now trying to take down the man who replaced him. Tom Brady's Patriots are in a freefall at 1-6, while Buffalo rides in at 4-2, looking like a quiet contender. For all 3 quarters, it's all Bills. A touchdown and a field goal in the first half, another score in the third. In New England, nothing. No points, no answers. Then, 8 minutes left in the fourth. Brady finally gets them close enough for Adam Vinatieri to put one through from 17 yards. 10-3. On the next drive, Bledsoe makes the first crack in Buffalo's armor, firing a ball right into the hands of second-year linebacker Terrell Suggs. A player already making his mark as difference maker for New England's defense. Suggs takes it back into Bills territory, setting the stage. The Patriots settle for another Vinatieri kick, 10-6. Buffalo answers right back, stringing together quick completions, pounding the ball between the tackles, and chewing up yards in chunks. In just a handful of plays, they're in the end zone again, 17-6 Bills. But Brady doesn't blink. 3 minutes, 17 seconds left, he carves Buffalo's secondary, hitting sideline throws, stopping the clock, and finally finding Deion Branch from 3 yards out. The 2-point try is also good. So now it's 17-14. And then they do an onside kick. It bounces through the front line, and somehow it squirts loose right past everybody, and New England falls on it. And Brady goes back to work with short gains and smart clock use. With 11 seconds left from the 19, Vinatieri lines up. Buffalo calls timeout to try to ice him, but it doesn't really matter. He sends it straight through and ties the game. And we go to overtime. Then it's also, at this point, it flashes the regulation on screen. And New England has scored 0 points in the first 3 quarters and all 17 in the fourth. In overtime, Buffalo gets the ball first but stalls at 4th and inches from their own 42. They decide to punt it. Brady starts his own 20, marching the Patriots all the way to the 2-yard line. On 2nd and goal, they line up like it's a run, but Brady checks at the line and calls an audible, and the defense bites, and the receiver is wide open in the end zone. Touchdown. Game over. The Patriots, dead for 3 quarters, walk out of Buffalo with a 23-17 win. They move to 2-6. The Bills drop to 4-3. And the new guard just reminded the old one, they're only getting started. With Week 8 in the books, the stat sheets tell their own story. Under center, it's the usual suspects running the show. John Kitna, Peyton Manning, Trent Green, Donovan McNabb, and Michael Vick all sitting near the top of the quarterback race at the halfway mark. In the backfield, it's not even close. LaDainian Tomlinson is flat out running away with it, leading in touchdowns, yards per game, total yardage, and even carries. Every category that matters belongs to 21 in powdered blue. Out wide, the leaderboard's a mix of the familiar and the unexpected. Big names like Hines Ward, TJ Hushmanzada, Marvin Harrison, and Donald Driver are right in the hunt. But the top spots are controlled with lesser known standouts making noise. Anquan Bolden is putting up numbers in Miami, while Randy Moss is still producing in Minnesota. The stat line isn't as wild as years past, but still steady. But not the video game numbers we have seen before. On defense, Patrick Kearney of the Falcons is setting up the pace with 10.5 sacks, trailed closely by Anthony McFarland's 8.5. Michael Strahan, Julius Peppers, and Dwight Freeney sit at 7 apiece, all within striking distance as the season wears on. In the secondary, turnovers have been scarce. While most of the league's leaders sit at 2 interceptions, Philadelphia's Lito Shepard stands alone at the top with 3. And the names filling the list are familiar mix and some unfamiliar. It's a proof, though, that the Sims got some variety while still keeping the league stars in the conversation. In Week 12, we have all kinds of headlines and comparisons of the running back race and passing yards now. Let's take a look. So the Week 12 game we have covered here today is the Indianapolis Colts going to the Texans. On paper, it looked like a mismatch. The Colts, they're 8-2, and they're led by Peyton Manning riding high into Week 12. The 5-5 Texans, with Matt Schaub under center, just trying to keep their season alive. For the first half, it played out like a chess match. Back and forth possessions, neither side pulling away. But just past the midway point, Houston found something, and once they did, they never let it go. The Texans poured it on. Big throws, chunk runs, a defense that started smelling blood. What was once a tight contest turned into a blowout, the scoreboard tilting harder and harder towards Houston. By the time the clock was draining in the fourth, it was 42-21, a statement few saw coming. The Colts would tack on a late touchdown to make it 42-28, but the damage was already done. Houston walks away with one of the biggest shockers of the year, dropping the mighty Colts to 8-3, and proving that in this league, no one is untouchable. The regular season is over with, and the numbers, they tell a story. Drew Bledsoe wins the yards crown with 5,222 and a full field ahead of Peyton Manning's 4,634 yards. Manning, though, owns the efficiency title, 35 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, 121.0 quarterback rating. Bledsoe finishes with 36 touchdowns and 14 interceptions and a 109.1 quarterback rating. In the chase pack behind him and Bledsoe, Trent Green, Steve McNair, Joey Harrington, Chad Pennington, Donovan McNabb, Brett Favre, and John Kintna. For the running backs, LaDainian Tomlinson turns the season into a personal highlight reel. 318 attempts, 1,420 yards, 26 TDs, and he led in touchdowns, yards per game, total yards, and just pure volume. The next best back was Brian Westbrook at 281 attempts and 1,292 yards and 16 touchdowns. And right behind them, Sean Alexander, Clinton Portis, Edgerrin James, Corey Dillon, Tiki Barber, and Deuce McAllister. For the wide receivers, there was a surprise at the top. Marty Booker of the Bears with 1,557 yards and 19 touchdowns. Then, the star powers: Marvin Harrison, Donald Driver, Terrell Owens, TJ Houshmandzadeh, and Hines Ward, and Isaac Bruce, and Darrell Jackson close behind. For the defense, for sacks, Kyle Vanderbosch of the Cardinals leads the league with 21. Then, Sean Ellis of the Jets is right behind at 19. Then, Patrick Kearney of the Eagles at 18, and Anthony McFarland of the Colts at 17.5. Michael Strahan, obviously the Giants, 16.5, and Sidney Rice also at 16.5. For interceptions, Lito Shepherd of the Eagles continued to lead and finishes out with 7. Brian Simmons of the Bengals also has 5. And then it's a crowd stacked with 3 picks rounds out the rest of the board. The regular season, though, guys, is done. The road to the Lombardi is set. In the AFC, the Chargers claim the top seed and a first-round bye. The Colts host the Dolphins. The Bills face off with division rival Jets, and the Bengals take on the Titans. In the NFC, the Eagles soar in as the number 1 seed, and the 49ers host the Cowboys. The Packers meet the Bears in a classic rivalry clash, and the Saints square off with the Rams. 12 teams enter, 1 team leaves with the trophy. 2 teams, 1 ticket to the Super Bowl. The 11-6 Buffalo Bills and the 11-6 Tennessee Titans meet in the cold and noise of upstate New York. Before we even step on the field, the sim tells a wild story. Tennessee races out to a 14-0 lead, then 21-0. Buffalo finally shows life, only for the Titans to hit right back before half. It's 28-10 after the break, then 28-13. The Bills close to 28-20, but Tennessee responds again to make it 35-20 heading into the 4th. And that's where we pick it up on the field, with the season on the line. Bledsoe, from his own 21, corks a dart to Eric Moulds all the way up to the Titans' 39. A penalty backs him up, but on 3rd and 12, he threads one to Reggie Williams in the end zone. Touchdown. The gap closes. Buffalo then adds a field goal, but Tennessee gets the ball. Steve McNair faces 3rd and 3 at the Bills' 32. The pocket caves, and he's buried by Robert Mathis, the former Colt now wearing red, white, and blue in Buffalo. The Titans end up punting it. Buffalo looks ready to capitalize, but on 2nd down, disaster. Carter explodes off the edge. The ball ricochets backwards, and Javon Kerr scoops it up and rumbles in for the Titans' touchdown. 42-27, Titans. Bledsoe then tries to rally, but Samori Role picks him off deep and returns it to the 2-yard line. Tennessee looks to ice it, but Mathis strikes again, dropping McNair in the end zone for his safety. That 2-point swing will prove massive. On 3rd and 25 from their own 30, Bledsoe finds Peerless Price wide open for a walk-in score. 42-36, 3:34 left. Buffalo's defense forces a 4th and out. The Bills take over at their own 32 with 2:34 left and all 3 timeouts. Bledsoe works the sideline, piles up completions, now at 446 yards, 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. A strike over the middle to his tight end puts them at the 8-yard line with 41 seconds left. After a short gain to Moulds and an injury timeout, Bledsoe drops back again. Touchdown, Eric Moulds. Tie game at 42-42. The extra point is good. Buffalo now leads 43-42 with 30 seconds left. From their own 39, the Titans burn 2 incompletions and face 3rd and 10. Another miss sets up 4th and 10 with 11 seconds remaining. McNair converts, just enough for one final shot. The clock runs dry on a desperate heave. That's the ball game. Final, Buffalo 43, Tennessee 42. 85 combined points between the two teams. A game that swung like a pendulum and ended in chaos. And the Bills, once down by 3 scores, are heading to the Super Bowl. From Buffalo's cold to Philadelphia's warmer stage, the NFC Championship is set. The 11-6 San Francisco 49ers, led by Dante Culpepper, face the 15-2 Philadelphia Eagles and the franchise arm, Donovan McNabb. From the opening snap, San Francisco swings first, 7-0, silencing the critics, but the Eagles answer with a march of their own, and by the middle of the second quarter, they take the lead, 14-7. Just before halftime, Culpepper responds, orchestrating a drive that knots it up again, 14-14 at the break. Philadelphia opens the second half with another scoring drive to make it 21-14. The 49ers then answer with a field goal, 21-17. And from here, we step onto the field. McNabb then finds a rhythm, hitting a strike over the middle, and then it unravels from his own 45. He forces a throw. Jason Webster of the 49ers is there. Interception. Culpepper then takes over. On 3rd and 4 from the 38, he spots halfback Kevin Barlow. Uncovered, forgotten in the defensive matchups, and wide open. Touchdown. The Niners steal the lead, 24-21. With 5 minutes left, the Eagles mount one last push, grinding their way to the San Francisco 3-yard line. 4th and 1, 13 seconds left. The crowd wants glory, but the coaches choose survival. The field goal is good, 24-24. And in the NFC Championship, we're going to overtime. Philadelphia wins the toss, and McNabb stays hot, leading the Eagles into range for a field goal. It's good, 27-24. Culpepper brings the Niners right back, hitting throws in stride, moving the chains. On 4th and 13, they settle for their own field goal. Tied game again, 27-27. The Eagles get another chance. They line up for a 49-yard attempt, and it sails wide. No good. San Francisco takes over, but there's a change under center. Culpepper somehow is out, and a backup steps in, and the drive stalls. But it's enough. From 44 yards out, the kick is up, and it's good. The Niners win, 30-27, in sudden death from 11-6 underdogs to NFC champions. San Francisco is going to the Super Bowl. 2 games, 2 thrillers. In the AFC, Buffalo staged one of the greatest comebacks in playoff history, outlasting Tennessee in an 85-point shootout. In the NFC, San Francisco survived an overtime war in Philadelphia, toppling the 15-2 Eagles on enemy turf. And now, only 2 remain.
Call me Bucky, lucky that I'm innocent. If I didn't have no morals, I'd be menacing. How about rapping conscious but he ignorant? How he from the hood but still gon' go legitimate? How he fuck a bunch of but they still respect the women. He still rolling this another. He just got the windows tinted. Homie stab me in the back and neck and never.
Under the brightest lights in the loudest arena, two teams stand on the edge of immortality. From the AFC, the Buffalo Bills, a team forged in heartbreak, reborn in resilience, led by Drew Bledsoe, fresh off one of the greatest comebacks in playoff history. They arrived carrying the weight of a city desperate for glory. From the NFC, the San Francisco 49ers, once kings of the stage, now back after years in the wilderness. Dante Culpepper has dragged them through the gauntlet, including an overtime war in Philadelphia, to give them one more shot at the crown. 60 minutes to decide everything. From the opening whistle, Buffalo looks like a team on a mission. 2 possessions, 2 drives, 2 touchdowns. Their offense cutting through the San Francisco defense like a hot knife through frozen air. The 49ers steady themselves and answer with a field goal. But at halftime, it's still Buffalo's game to control, 14-6. The second half begins with traded blows. Buffalo tacks on 3 more to make it 17-6. Then, Dante Culpepper finds his rhythm. 3 sharp completions set up a trip to the end zone. San Francisco gambles on a 2-point try, but they come up just short. 17-12 now. Buffalo, though, responds like champions. Drew Bledsoe leads a relentless march down the field, capped by a bruising touchdown run. 24-12 now, with 6 minutes and 51 seconds left. The Bills are 1 defensive stand away from glory, but San Francisco will not go quietly. Starting from their own 43, they lean on Kevin Barrow. 20 carries, 93 yards, in the biggest game of his life. The drive, though, bleeds 3 minutes from the clock before Culpepper hits Joe Horn in the end zone, 24-19. From there, Buffalo slams the door. The Bills' offense chews through the 49ers' 3 remaining timeouts and runs the clock to 0. The final, Buffalo 24, San Francisco 19. Drew Bledsoe, the man they traded for from New England to change the franchise's fortunes, is named Super Bowl MVP. The confetti falls, and the drought is ended, and Buffalo, at last, is on top of the football world.